Alright, let me tell you about the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. It all started last Saturday. I'm a huge fan of yard sales. You know, the thrill of the hunt. Finding those hidden gems for next to nothing. Usually, I'm looking for old books or vintage furniture. But this time, something else caught my eye. It was propped up against a rusty lawnmower, almost hidden behind a stack of old magazines. It was a painting, a landscape, to be exact. It depicted a serene little cottage nestled by a calm, reflective lake with a thick forest in the background. It wasn't a masterpiece by any means, but there was something about it, a certain charm, a quiet peacefulness that just drew me in. The frame was old and a bit chipped, but the painting itself was in decent shape. The seller, an older gentleman with kind, tired eyes, only wanted $5 for it. $5. I couldn't hand him the money fast enough. I felt like I'd found a real treasure. He took it home, cleaned up the frame, and found the perfect spot for it in my living room, right above the fireplace. It looked like it had always belonged there. Every time I looked at it, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. That first evening, I just sat on my couch, sipping tea, and admiring my $5 find. The moonlight from my window cast a soft glow on the painted cottage, making it look almost real. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of the strangest week of my life. The next morning, Sunday, I woke up, made some coffee, and slumped onto the couch. As my eyes adjusted, I glanced up at the painting, and that's when I noticed it. Something was different. I blinked, thinking my eyes were just playing tricks on me. I got up and walked closer. The cottage in the painting. Its front door was slightly ajar. I could have sworn I would have bet my life savings that the door was closed when I hung it up. I stood there for a good 5 minutes, just staring. It was such a small detail. Maybe I just hadn't noticed it before. I tried to rationalize it. My memory must be faulty. It's an old painting. Maybe I was just seeing it in a different light. I brushed it off, chalked it up to a long week, and went about my day. But a little seed of unease had been planted. Throughout the day, I kept sneaking glances at it, half expecting the door to be closed again. It wasn't. It stayed open, a dark, narrow slit in the otherwise peaceful scene. Monday was when things went from slightly odd to genuinely unsettling. I came home from a long day at work, threw my keys on the counter, and walked into the living room. My eyes immediately shot to the painting. My heart skipped a beat. A light was on inside the cottage. A warm, yellow glow was now clearly visible through one of the tiny windows. The door was still ajar. I felt a chill run down my spine. This was impossible. I live alone. No one had been in my apartment. Paintings. Don't just... change. I took my phone out and snapped a picture. I needed proof. I needed to confirm I wasn't losing my mind. I zoomed in on the photo. There it was. Clear as day. The open door. The lit window. This wasn't my imagination. Something was happening with this painting. I couldn't explain it. I spent the rest of the night nervously watching it, feeling like I was the one being observed from that little painted house. Sleep did not come easily that night. I kept dreaming of that little cottage, of the soft yellow light, and the feeling that someone was waiting inside. By Tuesday, I was on edge. The first thing I did when I woke up was check the painting, and yep, it had changed again. This time, it was the lake. The once placid mirror-like surface now had gentle ripples, as if a stone had just been skipped across it. The reflection of the cottage was slightly distorted by the moving water. I compared it to the photo I took the night before. No doubt about it. The lake had been perfectly still in my picture. Now, it looked alive. My scientific rational brain was screaming for an explanation. Was it the temperature? The humidity? Was there some kind of special paint that reacted to the environment? He even Googled paintings that change with temperature, but all I found were cheap novelty mugs. This was something else entirely. It felt... intentional. The changes were subtle, incremental. It was like a story was unfolding, ever so slowly, right there on my wall. And honestly, a part of me, the curious part, was captivated. The other part was absolutely terrified. On Wednesday, the change was the most significant yet. I came home, my stomach in knots, and forced myself to look. There was a figure, a tiny, almost imperceptible figure, standing on the edge of the painted lake, their back to me, looking out at the water. It was just a silhouette, a small dab of dark paint, but it was unmistakably a person. They weren't there before. I checked my photos. Nothing. Just an empty shoreline. My blood ran cold. This had crossed a line. An open door. A light. Ripples. That was weird. But a person appearing out of nowhere in a painting. I felt a genuine sense of dread. Who was this person? Where did they come from? I felt like I was trespassing, watching a private moment I wasn't meant to see. I couldn't take my eyes off the tiny figure. It felt like if I blinked, they might turn around. I seriously considered taking the painting down, maybe even getting rid of it, but I couldn't. I had to know what was going to happen next. Thursday morning, I almost didn't want to look. I peeked from behind my kitchen wall, holding my breath. The figure was still there, but they had moved. They were now walking along a small path that led from the lake towards the cottage. It was a minuscule change, a shift of millimeters, but it was undeniable. The figure was on a journey. They were going to the house with the open door and the light in the window. My mind was racing, creating all sorts of scenarios. Was this a good thing? Was this person coming home, or was it something more sinister? The painting's initial peacefulness was completely gone, replaced by a heavy, suspenseful atmosphere. Every change felt like another tick of a clock, counting down to something. I found myself talking to the painting, whispering, "Be careful," as if the tiny painted person could hear me. I know it sounds crazy, but I was completely invested. Friday. The climax. I rushed home from work, my heart pounding in my chest. I flung the door open and ran into the living room. I looked up. The figure was gone from the path. The shoreline was empty. The door to the cottage was now closed, and the light in the window, ... It was out. The painting had almost returned to its original state, the way I first saw it at the yard sale. Almost. The only difference was the lake. The ripples were still there, gently lapping against the shore. The story, whatever it was, seemed to be over. I felt a strange mix of relief and disappointment. For a week, this painting had been a living, breathing entity in my home. And now, it was quiet again. I stood there for a long time, just looking at it. I had no answers, no explanation, just a series of photos on my phone and a story I knew no one would ever believe. I decided to keep the painting. It's still hanging above my fireplace. It hasn't changed since that Friday. It's just a peaceful landscape again. But now, when I look at it, I don't just see a pretty picture. I see the open door, the light in the window, the ripples on the lake, and the tiny figure on a journey home. It's my own little mystery, and a constant reminder that sometimes the most magical and inexplicable things can be found where you least expect them, even at a yard sale for $5. Thanks so much for listening to my crazy story. What do you think happened? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you like weird tales like this one, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you in the next video.